James Harden is expected to return.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76er your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hello, my name is Keith Pompey. I'm the host of Locked On 76ers, and I'm here coming to you guys from Fort Collins, Colorado. Tell you what, man, it's my first time up here. I haven't really been able to get to see a lot. I actually got here Monday night, late Monday night, and went to practice on Tuesday, first day of training camp. But for the little bit that I got to see, walked around a little bit that I got to see, this is a beautiful city. I mean, a little beautiful town. Like, I love the mountains. I love checking that out. But, I'm going to be honest with y'all, and y'all didn't come to this podcast to hear me talk about the mountains or anything like that. The news of right now today in regarding the 76ers is that of James Harden. James Harden was a no-show from Tuesday's practice, training camp. Everyone kind of imagined that was happening. Now, you heard some snickers that he could possibly show up. He could do this. He could do that. But then all of a sudden, the reports come out. Stuff gets confirmed that James is on his way, expected, I shouldn't say on his way, but he's expected to arrive here, right? And it could be any day. Practice is going to be on Wednesday. There's going to be a large media contingent there for the second straight day. And I feel like people are going to try to, pay attention to see if James is going to be there or not. So that's the news. Now, the thing about it is when you talk about James coming back, right, it's kind of like, how is it going to be? Is he going to be here for a long time? Is he just going to show up? Is he going to be, one of those things? And I hate to say it, but, think about Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons returned, but he had no intentions of ever playing for the 76ers again. So he returned, and he never played for the 76ers again, right? What you got to realize, the longer that these guys stay out, the more they get fined, they do this and that. But you can come back, and you can be as disruptive as you want. And then guess what happened? They send you home. They could do this. They could do that. Now, I'm pretty sure, right now with players doing things like that the league and the teams have ways to protect themselves that they probably didn't have before. But when a guy comes back and he's not happy, like two things could happen. He could come back. He could mesh in. He could say, you know what? I still want to get traded, and I'm a ball out. I'm going to do everything in my power for me to help this team and for me to impress other teams so they can give the Sixers what they want in regards to assets to trade me. Or he can come in here and he could be disruptive. He could be a pain in a you-know-what. He can do a lot of different things to whereas the Sixers just feel like, you know what, it's best to hurry up and just trade him, get a bag of peanuts, get whatever we can for him because we just don't want to be around him anymore, right? But when you talk about James and you figure out the things that's going on, you realize that, hey, it's one of those things where he's coming back, expected to come back, and we're going to see how all this stuff shakes out, right? We're going to see it. The thing that gets me is like right now, you know, today they had a practice. It was supposedly the spirited practice. I mean, Sixers owner Josh Harris was in attendance today. Um, a couple owners saw other people in the ownership group there. I mean, even their DJ was there. Like you go into practice, they got the music blaring. Now, mind you, when I say go into the practice, it's typically you go in there for the media availability. It used to be one of those things where they would let you in for the last 15 minutes of the practice, and you could watch some scrimmaging. You rarely get to see that stuff anymore. I mean, it's kind of like you go in there now, you see guys icing up ankles, icing up knees, and then you see a couple of dudes shooting foul shots. Seriously, that's what it's come to, right? But when we got in there, the music was blaring, DJ was going. Like, I mean, it was a lot, right? The music. So, but there's a lot of new faces. I mean, they got the core guys and they got a couple returning reserves. But when I mean new faces, I'm not just talking about the team. I mean, I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about people that Nick Nurse hired. Of course, he got his old new staff, but then you see a lot of other um, staff members, not like coaching staff, but staff members who were in the gym. And it was a little bit a little nice to see certain people, nice to see the people who you saw. But to me, I like seeing Nick Nurse had a lot of ladies in there, and he has a real diverse staff. He has people. I was like, hey, wasn't he with a different team? So, you know, I like what I saw for that. For the little bit of time I saw. But what's going to happen when James comes? I mean, that's the $1,000,000 question. Is he going to show up? I think he will. Is he going to stay? Right? I mean, what's going to happen? And then after we come back from his break, I want to talk about it. Is he going to be a major distraction? I talked to Nick Nurse about is his situation a distraction right now. Nick said it wasn't, but it's only been 2 days with the team back. So is it going to be a distraction? And is it already a distraction? We'll talk about that after we do talk about Ibotta. Look, y'all, it's football season. So that means pizza, wings, and maybe even some buffalo chicken dip. Whatever you prefer at your tailgate, go all out and get cash back on every purchase with Ibotta. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you are purchasing. Now, I love hearing that. You know what I'm saying? I love hearing that. Either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt after you shop and get your cash back. It's that easy. So I'm telling you, the average Ibotta user earns $100 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. Or you could use your cash back to buy the flight you've been eyeing. Now, I need to do that, right? That game you've been dying to go to. I want to go to the Super Bowl. Or the fancy dinner you've been craving. I mean, I can't even think about it. But listen, y'all, download the Ibotta app now and use the code LOCKED to start earning real cash back. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use the code LOCKED. Excuse me. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use the code LOCKED. Do it today, people. I'm telling you, definitely do it today. Now, I want to thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. Every day is tomorrow on the show. Yep, we're going to be talking more about James Harden and the happenings that occurred in at Wednesday's training camp practice. Like, yo, did James show up? Who's standing out? Things like that. So there's a lot that we have going on tomorrow. Now, here's the thing: when we talk about distraction, and I kind of think that is, and I know what Nick Nurse said. I mean, believe me, but I think that this is going to become a distraction unless James comes in here and he's like totally bought in, right? But outside of that, it's going to become a major distraction. And the reason why I'm saying it's a major distraction now, let's face it, there's a lot banking on this season, right? And I get it, it's the preseason. There's 82 games in there. Excuse me. Anything can happen. Knock on wood that it doesn't happen, but somebody from the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics could suffer a major injury, and then all of a sudden their season is all for naught. I mean, let's face it. Look at it. You remember a couple of years ago, the Brooklyn Nets, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant was supposed to be the dream team, phenomenal team. I don't even know in their seasons that they were together how many games they played. It was less than, I know it was like less than 30. I mean, it might have even been less than that, right? So fewer than that. So here's the deal. Like, you never know. You can't really judge a team on paper, right? You just can't judge them on paper. However, when you look at the moves that the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks and kind of sort of the New York Knicks made this offseason, you have to say to yourself, like, those teams are going to get better, especially Boston and Milwaukee. Those are two teams who are bona fide championship contenders, right? Point blank. You look at the Sixers, but at the same time, Nick Nurse came in here, and every coach wants to win a championship, but his focus too is getting his team out of the second round, something they haven't been able to do. He said he was going to address that in the beginning of training camp, the whole nine, right? That's something that they wanted to do. Well, you would think a new coach would have his coaching, once he got his coaching staff assembled, he would go to like summer league, have a coach's retreat and say, look, these are the guys we got. We acquired these free agents, right? And this is how we're going to run our show. This is how we're going to do it. And you're happy, right? And then right now, training camp, you got a couple guys. You're looking at them. You're evaluating who's going to make the team and who's not, right? That's how it is. No. What are the Sixers doing? So they have a plan A and a plan B. The plan A is without Harden. Plan B is with Harden. So you really don't know what you have. And then all the time, the questions are about, did James come back? Did James come back? So to me, this situation is a distraction. It can become frustrating, can become annoying. Because as a coach, you want to have what you have. Now, Nick Nurse said it wasn't. He also said that you have to be flexible nowadays, right? You just do. So with that being said, it's like, if they make a trade for James, which they would like to do, but they only if they can get said player or a player that's of a great quality, they're going to have to implement that person in as well. But I'm here to tell you, this is a lot. It's a lot, especially knowing that how James, they said, quote unquote, showed up with the fat suit when he tried to get traded from who was it? The Bucks. I mean, not the Bucks. The Houston Rockets, right? People were talking about that, and then now you look at it, and he missed that training camp, and then how he tried to get out of the Brooklyn Nets. So James knows how to get out of places. And you read these tweets. Adrian Wojnarowski at ESPN is saying he's going to make it extremely uncomfortable for the Sixers. He said that himself a while ago. So this is going to be a distraction. It could disrupt this team. I mean, it just could. It really could. And James, be real. There's several guys on this team that love James. They came here because of James. So then whose side they gonna take? That you just don't know what to expect. So to me, I understand what Nick said, but I also think it's one of those things he said what he has to say. I believe that this is a distraction, and it could get worse unless James comes in here and wants to be a choir boy or just someone just get along to get along. So we'll see, but getting along to get along ain't going to get you out of here, because I feel like it ain't going to get you out of here. Like, it may later, but if y'all having a lot of success and there's not a lot out there, you might want to keep the brother. You know what I mean? If everything's going well. So I don't know, but we'll be right back quickly. All right, I'm back. I told you that was going to be quick, right? So, here we are. We're at training camp. Everything's going well. We're talking about the distractions, this and that. But I just want to talk to y'all a little bit. Like I said before, and I know y'all didn't want to talk about it, but, it's weird. When I first had this podcast, I would give y'all a little bit insight of what it's like. And it's funny because in the beginning of the season, like when you cover a beat, and this is going to be my 11th year to beat, like a lot of people think of it as like you get to travel, you get to do all these other things, you get to stay in hotels, go to games. But it's weird because, you're so used to being it, but it's a grind and you get used to being in it. And whenever a season starts, you find yourself having to readjust yourself. And this year was a little bit, I'm not going to say worse than most, but it was kind of crazy because typically you go to media day, what have you, you write the stories, and then they have training camp the next day at the practice facility. Or what the Sixers used to do is they would have training camp in Atlantic City area, not quite there, like Galloway Township. And they would have that. It used to be fun, right? Nice. But now it's like last year they went to Charleston, which was cool. But here we are. We're at Denver. We went to Denver. So you got to fly to Denver. The flight on Monday night, you go to the media day on Monday. You go to the airport, you write your story, whatever. You take a late flight because you don't want to be, rushing and all that. Then the flight gets delayed. And then you have this, and it wasn't that long. It was like a 3-hour flight. But I got so used to not flying this summer again and readjusted that 3 hours off the back seemed like 7 hours, right? So you got a 3-hour flight, 3.5 hours, maybe closer to 4, right? Whatever. But then you got to go to the rental car spot. And the rental car spot is a little bit off site. It's not like you get out the terminal and walk to it, and then you got to hop on the bus. So you go there, then you got to drive an hour over here, like whatever. But you got to realize it was nighttime, so it's kind of like it was 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock their time, which was midnight when we got here. And then we got here around like 11:45, 11:50, which is like 1:45, 1:50. And then you can't sleep. So then you're like staying up for a little bit. So it's, people say, oh man, what are you complaining about? And I'm not really complaining. I'm not complaining at all. But what I am doing is I'm just trying to share with you guys what it's like a little bit. But, it's good. I like it out here. I do. Went to a nice little breakfast spot today. Then, had a nice meal for dinner. But, it's cool. But guess what, man? Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. because I got a feeling that it's going to be a lot that we're going to be talking about the next couple of days with Harden. And on Thursday, my man Mitch is going to come on, so we'll have him. We'll have John Mitchell. But listen, y'all, you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. It's free and available, right? And make sure you go to the YouTube channel and click on the Liberty Bell, right? Do that, you become a new subscriber. Also, you know, you can follow me on Twitter, known as X now, at Pompey on Sixers, right? Pompey on Sixers. You can follow me on Instagram at Pompey on Sixers. You can follow me on Twitter, the same thing. And you can read my articles in the Philadelphia Inquirer. I want to thank you for listening and have a blessed day. Peace.